what's happening to Christianity is rather frightening. We just did a podcast about how the Pope denies the divinity of Christ.
No. It's not Christianity. Nothing's really worrying me per se. I'm quite stoic about most things, and I really do believe that God is present in the church, and He works in mysterious ways. Not to throw a cliche around, but I do think that there is. I agree with you. There's a new phase of Christianity within the church.
What is that?
It's really been a phase that has been begged for far too long, and that is the house church phenomenon.
House church?
Yes. So this is not something new. This has been, Anabaptists, first century church. A lot of people have been talking about people meeting in homes to do their church servicey things, to do spiritual care. In fact, I just did that this Sunday. I went to somebody's home. We prayed for each other. We sang songs. Yeah.
That's how the Russian Orthodox Church survived communism. They held all their services in people's homes.
Same thing in the current day Iranian church, which is I was listening to this one documentary, said that there's the propaganda machine makes you feel like everyone there is Muslim, strong, staunchly devoted. They'll kill you if you're a Jew or a Christian. That's how we Westerners feel. The reality is the mosques are empty. The mosques of Iran are empty. People aren't going to prayers.
Really?
No, there's hundreds, if not thousands, of women, Iranian women, leading church services in homes privately.
Oh, so they're preserving Islam, but it's at home.
No. Christian women.
Oh, Christians. Oh, okay.
No. I mean, there actually was in this documentary. There's this Iranian couple that went to the United States. Then they decided to go back to Iran. And the reason why in the documentary they said is because there's a sort of satanic lullaby in the West where it's just so easy because we're so free. Nobody's going to harass me if I go to church.
No.
Nobody's going to throw stones at me or get me killed.
No.
I don't have to be. There are certain Christians that are allowed to freely worship in a lot of the Middle East, but they're ethno-religious minorities. They can't evangelize. They can't tell other people about their faith. But in China, even North Korea, they have Christian communities very tightly knit who are meeting at homes and are very, very fervent in their faith. And we talk about that a lot in America, especially American politics, how there would be this great massive grassroots swelling and people would just all actually do what their faith is. 70% of people claim to be Christian in America. 70% of Americans claim to be Christian. Mm-hmm. About 35 million Christians don't even register to vote nationally.
Right.
I mean, if Christians, the general idea is forget the Latino vote, forget the black vote, because they are part of this bigger vote, the Christian vote. If Christians were to vote biblically, there would be a radical change in how the country is structured. Radical change. Even in places like California and New York.
No, we're finding that out in the congressional race, and I'm campaign chair now for Andy Caldwell running against a communist here for Congress, and we're finding that the church people are finally rising up and they're registering to vote, and they're voting conservative Republican.
See, how it's traditionally been, in the church, and there's been a pastor and he takes care of maybe 100 people. Mm-hmm. That's not possible, especially with 100, with a 30 to an hour long sermon once a week. Are you kidding? Are you freaking kidding me? One sermon is supposed to make everyone pure and blessed and moral for the 7 days of muck they have to crawl through.
A lot of temptation in those 7 days, isn't there?
Oh my word! I mean, just on that Sunday, forget about Saturday night, Friday night, and the stuff they have to endure at work or school. Their kids have to do at work or school. What they have to, the temptations on the internet, the temptations at their after, their programs and their this and their that. You really think 1 hour is going to cut it? No, and people are wising up to that, and so what they're doing is they're trying to get that intimacy. See, a lot of Christians understand there's that realization of Christ as your Savior, and there's that spiritual moment for a lot of people A lot of people describe the spiritual moment, or throughout their spiritual life,
They're
they
letting
describe.
Jesus into their life. That's the
Right,
experience.
right. Well, that's, it's for some people it's a process. Some people it's in a very stressful time. They look to God and
Hmm.
they have that incredible spiritual feel, and they're just not getting that feel in church.
Hmm. Hmm.
But they are getting it when they're meeting together and earnestly praying, and they're actually caring about each other. Because as loving as a pastor may be, the best pastor in the world cannot adequately care for 100 people. It's impossible. There's no way.
Yeah, I know. I know.
But 5 people each
Yeah,
caring for
that's
each
why.
other
See, that's why
equally.
that's why the Catholic Church, they invented the sacraments, the life of the sacraments, because the whole week, and they encourage daily attendance at Mass and daily recitation of the Rosary, so that the Catholics figured this problem out a long time ago, and that's why they contoured their religion with something to do every week, Lent, for instance, and Easter time, Christmas time, Advent. The Catholics realize exactly what you're saying. You can't just preach a sermon on Sunday and expect people to get the message and get the pastoral reinforcement that they need to become good Christians or stay good Christians. You can't do it.
Right, exactly. And at the same time, a lot of people, when they hear a message from the Bible, they go, "Okay, that's really nice, but how's that help me with my drinking addiction, my sexual addiction, my divorce is coming through, my finances are just falling through the cracks. I don't know how I'm going to make my mortgage payments."
Gee, you just mentioned all of my problems, Alex.
Yes. I really do hope you don't have an alcohol addiction. But anyway, and being that your wife has been dead for several years, I really hope you don't have a divorce problem.
No, I don't.
But anyway.
But you actually, what you're talking about is you're talking about the. This is what Pope Benedict preached when he was in Rome as a simple moral philosophy professor at a university, and he wrote several essays and radio transcripts where he said that the church must contract. Catholic Church must contract to its first century roots, where the congregation elects the priest. There's no rank higher than priest, and services are held in the home.
See, what you're saying is not anything new by any. In fact, the Catholics are just catching up with the Protestants. The Protestants
I know. And that's why Benedict proposed it. Yeah.
So I mean, even the concept of a building is kind of going out the window.
Well, that's a medieval creation. That was a medieval thing.
Third century, second century.
People couldn't read, they couldn't write, they couldn't paint, they couldn't write poetry. The masses of people, so they could go to church and get a really good theatrical experience. Really good.
Right. I mean, why do that? And also, if the laws are changed and there becomes an oppressive regime, why do we have to worry about going to some church? We can just meet in homes like it's any other day.
Right. I wish somebody would take a couple of still shots of a church where the pastor is up there preaching, and people are in their places in the pews, and they're on their iPhone or their iPad.
Well, I mean, I was just reading an article the other day lambasting the idea of having screen projectors display lyrics and how people should be reading from their hymnals.
Right.
Now, I understand the concept he's talking about, and it's interesting, but I'm talking more of a philosophical overhaul of most of the differences. There's a difference between religion and spirituality, and there's a huge difference between religiosity. And I don't want me poo-poo tradition, because it has a place and it's important. And I also want to say I like some churches. They're beautifully made. They're nice places. I'm not the kind of person that says we need to go around tearing down churches. What I am saying is that we need to reassess what it means to be a Christian. I would much rather there be 5% of really open, ferocious, unafraid Christians than 70% of do-nothing slackers that are Christians in name only.
Things are going your way, because in Europe, hundreds of churches every year are being converted into mosques. Formerly Christian churches are being converted into mosques. And the people who used to go to these Christian churches, they're either having their religious experiences at home with their friends and their family, or they're not religious at all. Anyway, you're out of time. But that was a good discussion. Thank you for updating us on the first century Christian church. Thank you.
You bet.
Cheers, folks.